Hi everyone, and welcome to the February edition of Wavelength. Well, the LCRA Board of Directors met in January, this time under the leadership of newly elected officers.
All those in favor?
Peter Pinkoffs of Austin is the new board chair, Steve Rivers of Bastrop is vice chair, and Pamela Akins of Marble Falls is board secretary.
Being named board chair at LCRA is about as great an honor, I guess, as I can ever remember having received. It's a thrill for me. I'm delighted to be able to work with the employees of the LCRA. I look forward to working with our board. We're going to have a number of new board members this year. We look forward to meeting them, getting them introduced to the operation of the LCRA, and really excited about the year.
Pinkoffs represents Travis County on the board. He is president of Consolidated Insurance Agency here in Austin and a graduate of the University of Texas. The newest member of the LCRA board is Louis Romero Jr. of Kerrville. He was appointed by Governor Bush to serve out the term of Fred Henneke, also of Kerrville, who left the board in January.
In February, the LCRA is giving residents of Central Texas an opportunity to tell us how they think we should meet the growing demand for electricity. 4 town hall meetings are being held in the 53 county service area so that the folks who use the power can help determine what future generation sources will be. These meetings are part of a process called Integrated Resource Planning, or IRP, which is designed to help utilities find the best way to meet growing electrical demand.
The IRP process is one of those things, the glass can be half full or it can be half empty. You can look at it and you can say, well, it's the law and you got to do it. And the legislature is making me have this meeting. The PUC is making me have this meeting, so here I am. What do you want to talk about? Or you can say, okay, we're going to do this, and so then how do we make it be productive? And we're trying to do the latter. And we're saying, this is an opportunity for us to go out in the community and share with them the information of where we get our power from, how we produce our power, and what it is that we think we need in the future, and to get their input on the options that are out there. And I think for us it's a valuable opportunity to show our wares. It's a valuable opportunity to go out in those communities and say, this is what the LCRA as a generator of power is all about. Here's where your electricity comes from. Here's where we're thinking it has to come from in the future. And then for them to tell us what they think. And this is an important time for us because we're talking about building another unit. So we'll get the information, we'll listen, we'll digest it all, and then we'll move into the decision-making mode.
Right now, we'd like to share with you a program we produced to help inform the public about where your power comes from and what options are available for the future. It's called Choosing the Power That Makes a Difference.
When was the last time you went shopping for a new car? Pretty tough decision, wasn't it? All sorts of things to consider and options to choose from. Do you want a vehicle that can haul equipment like a pickup truck? Or maybe style is important to you, or speed, or reliability, or cost. Maybe you want a car that's fuel efficient, or maybe it's more important that you have the most durable, powerful car on the road. There are a lot of things to consider when shopping for something that's expensive, something you'll be using every day for many years to come. You know, when I'm in the market for a new car, I talk to my friends and neighbors and get their advice. That's what the LCRA is doing with a series of town hall meetings, getting your opinion on an important purchase that will ultimately affect all of us. No, the LCRA isn't shopping for new cars, it's shopping for new sources of electricity to carry us into the next century. Take a look around the Central Texas area and you can understand why the LCRA is looking for new sources of electricity. The LCRA's 53 county electric service area is one of the fastest growing regions in the country. 44 public utilities in the area buy electricity from the LCRA, then sell it to homes, schools, and businesses in their communities. And as more people move into the region, the demand for electricity is increasing. Projections show that in the next 5 years, LCRA will need another 500 megawatts of generating capacity to meet the growing demand. How will that electricity be produced? Will it be from a traditional fuel source like natural gas, or will it come from an emerging renewable resource like wind power? What kind of impact will the power generation have on the environment? Will the energy source be one that's easily available, or will it have to be imported into our area? Those are some of the issues on the table as we make plans for providing power in the future.
Well, the end-use consumer has a concern about where we're going in the future for several reasons. One, as I've mentioned, is cost. The LCRA's cost to their retail utility, whether it's a municipal or a co-op, is the big portion of the cost that they pay at their home or business. So of course, if we do something that brings our costs out of line or lowers our cost, then that's a direct impact on their pocketbook. Beyond that, there's also quality of life issues. Central Texas is proud of its environmental concerns and its clean air and clean water. If we build power plants or don't act as good stewards for that environment in the way we produce our electricity, that can also have an impact on them as consumers and as just residents of Central Texas.
Peak demand refers to the greatest demand placed on the power production system. Generally speaking, it's when the largest number of customers are using the most electricity. Peak demands usually happen in the late afternoons or early evenings when people are at home using their electrical appliances like air conditioners and heaters. When it's particularly hot or cold outside, peak demands occur as air conditioners and heaters work to keep people comfortable inside. A utility like the LCRA has to be able to produce enough electricity to meet the peak demand. Back when it was established in 1934, the LCRA built dams along the Colorado River that not only tamed the river's fury, but also used the power of water to generate electricity. As the population and energy demands have increased, LCRA's power portfolio has diversified. That flexibility has helped keep prices down.
Diversity means just like you would when you invest your money. Do you put it all in a CD? Do you put it all in the stock market and go ups and downs with all that? Utilities have the same thing when we rely on, and it's really fuel type diversity. Do we rely solely on natural gas, which is a big predominant resource here in Texas? But Texas utilities, the utilities in Texas, were predominantly natural gas up to the early 70s. And we got burned bad with the oil embargo and the impacts that that had on us. So since then, the utilities in this state have diversified and built coal plants, nuclear plants. In our case, we've built some wind power. We've had our hydro for at least 50 or 60 years. So LCRA has tried to diversify its portfolio, if you will, of energy sources to include natural gas, coal, wind, and water.
Right now, 62% of LCRA's electricity comes from coal at the Fayette Power Project near LaGrange. 32% is generated by burning natural gas from the Sim Gideon plant near Bastrop and the Thomas C. Ferguson plant near Marble Falls. Water passing through 6 dams on the Colorado River account for 5% of the mix. And 1/3% of the LCRA's electricity is generated by wind power purchased from the Texas Wind Power Project in West Texas. Together, those energy sources produce 11.2 million megawatt hours of electricity each year, which the LCRA sells to its 44 wholesale customers. In all, more than 1 million people draw their electricity from what's being produced by the LCRA. A megawatt is 1 million watts of electricity. It takes 1 megawatt to light up 10,100 watt light bulbs. When those 10,100 watt light bulbs are on for 1 hour, 1 megawatt hour of electricity is used. A typical household uses about 13 megawatt hours of electricity a year. A little earlier we talked about the various factors you have to consider when you're shopping for a new car. As we choose the fuels and technologies that will provide our electricity, we have to think along those same lines.
So we look at everything from A to Z. Anything that is a viable technology, we look at it. We cost it out to figure out what it would cost to add that increment of generation. And we don't just stop there. We look at what's on that next, on the horizon. What would be available in the next 5 to 10 years of technology that may not even be available today.
Think about cost. Your monthly electric bill could be affected by the way your electricity is generated. Some fuels are more expensive than others. Reliability is another important consideration. Will there be times when the fuel is not available to generate electricity, or it just becomes too expensive to burn? And let's not forget about environmental impact. Some fuels may be reliable but have a greater negative impact on our environment than other fuel sources. Other fuels may not pollute, but may be more expensive to operate. As you can see, there are a lot of things to think about when choosing power for the future. Basically, LCRA's options come down to 4. We can acquire more electricity produced by the combustion of natural gas. The other widely used fossil fuel, coal, is not a short-term possibility for the LCRA.
The reason that a coal unit really isn't a good option for the 5-year horizon that we're looking at is the first thing is the time that it takes from making a decision until the time that you can have that unit online producing energy. That's probably in the 7 to 8 year time frame. So that's outside of our 5-year window that we're looking at.
We can purchase more power produced by wind turbines. So far, the vast majority of wind energy in Texas comes from far west Texas and is distributed throughout the state, including to LCRA's service area. We can invest in small electric generators distributed around the service area, primarily at commercial and industrial businesses. These individual units may be powered by solar energy, diesel fuel, or natural gas. We can plan for individual consumers to reduce the energy they use energy more efficiently, or shift the time of use from a peak period to an off-peak period. If consumers change their energy use habits, the LCRA could end up needing to acquire less electricity. All of these options have impacts. Some cost less than others. Some have less environmental impact. Some promise a greater degree of reliability than others. When selecting one option over another, there's no right or wrong answer. Different people have different preferences for cost, environmental impact, and reliability. What's important is to look at the information that's available, discuss it with other people who are interested in the same topic, and express your individual preferences. The LCRA will listen to your comments and build them into its plans for the future.
Now, I know that's a lot to think about, but your opinions are important. These choices will have far-reaching impact not only on the electrical system of your community, but also on the environment and the economic well-being of the region.
LCRA, Ferguson Power Plant, Marble Falls. Represented by Mr. Marion Nichols and Mr. Mark Johnson.
2 LCRA power plants were honored at the state capitol recently by the Texas Natural Resource Conservation Commission for their commitment to protecting and improving the environment.
LCRA, the Gideon Power Plant in Bastrop. Represented by Tommy Higgins from the facility and Diane Wilson from the LCRA Citizens Advisory Panel.
Both LCRA power plants have been a part of the Clean Industries 2000 program since 1987 and are now being inducted as charter members into Clean Industries Plus, which will set new voluntary environmental protection goals for the 21st century.
The test and the bottom line is not how many charges can be made, how many fines can be delivered, how many dollars can be collected by the state. The test is how much reduction is taking place in the emissions in this state, how much land is being put back into good use through cleanup. That's the real test, and that's the real grading card. And I like to say to you today that your efforts deserve an A+.
To qualify for Clean Industries Plus, the Ferguson Power Plant near Marble Falls has committed to reducing carbon dioxide emissions by 59 tons per year, conserving 420,000 gallons of water per year, and planting 385 trees at the plant site. The Sim Gideon plant committed to reducing carbon dioxide emissions by 24,000 tons by 2001 and restoring 9 acres of native aquatic vegetation in Lake Bastrop.
The Sim Gideon team is the one that makes this happen. Without a complete team effort, we're not able to accomplish the goals that we set.
Both power plants have helped sponsor household hazardous waste collection days in their communities and have helped to establish plant and community recycling programs.
The best part of being involved is that we're seeing the results. We've seen the results here if they've been enumerated by Buster Brown and others to let us know that we're part of a committee that gets something done. That's what's exciting. If you're just a voter in a community and a participant, it's good to see this working. We have a regular meeting We discuss goals and we try to achieve these goals, and we do have some discussions to create some activities within our community.
We have been participating, as you know, in volunteer programs nationally as well as statewide, and this Industries Plus program is really important for us, and particularly important because we've got among these few upfront volunteers, we've got not one but two of our power plants, the only electric utility participating. And the way that they're participating is extremely important. To have the citizens advisory groups involved from the very beginning, I think will be very important for us in the future. This is the Black Thunder Mine in the Powder River Basin, Wyoming. This is where the coal burned at the Fayette Power Project in LaGrange comes from. Coal trains make the 1,500-mile trip from Wyoming to Central Texas nearly every day. For the past 10 years, the LCRA has had to rely on one carrier, Union Pacific Railroad, for all of its coal deliveries. Now, under a new contract approved last fall, Fort Worth-based Burlington Northern Santa Fe Railroad is also providing service to FPP.
We're shipping up to about 35% of our annual requirements with them, and continuing to ship with Union Pacific the balance. Why we're so pleased about this is that it basically diversifies our transportation options and reduces our exposure to any one carrier in the event they have service problems in the future. Since about 2/3 of LCRA's electric generation comes from the 3 units at FPP, it is very important to maintain a reliable inventory of coal.
In other GenCo news, according to Electric Light and Power magazine, the LCRA's total operations and maintenance costs for generating electricity were the lowest in Texas, and 23% below the average cost of the nation's top 100 generating utilities. This was based on LCRA's 1997 wholesale rate of 3.94 cents per kilowatt hour. GenCo manager Dudley Pylan credits the success to good facilities and great employees.
Employees at the Sim-Gideon Power Plant have reached a major safety milestone. They have passed 1,000 days without a lost time accident.
Well, there is some luck involved. I guess there always is. But the real key to it is the dedication that the employees have to being safe workers, and to the pride that they take in supporting each other and making sure that everything that they do together keeps one of the team from being hurt. I think they have a lot of pride in the plant, but they have a lot of friends and neighbors that they work with, and together as a team, they just do a fantastic job of making sure that each of them work together, work well, and work safe.
The previous safety record for Sim-Gideon was 779 days.
Well, the Texas legislature is back in session here in Austin, and that means from now until May 31st, legislators will be considering a variety of bills, everything from water rights to property taxes. And one item of particular interest to the LCRA and its wholesale electric customers concerns the issue of the deregulation of the electric power industry here in Texas.
The House bill that we've seen has some things in it that we like and think are fair, and then it has some things in it that we might suggest some changes. We understand that the Senate bill is coming out fairly soon, and we think it's pretty much in the same shape, that it's mostly what we can support. I mean, it's difficult for us to go through this change, but I think we being the industry, I think we're all getting there, and even since a little bit of, man, if this is going to happen, then let's just get the rules of the road out there and let's get on down the road and get about the business of doing something. Kind of like the waiting is killing us. But I always try to remember to stress to our employees is that we're already there. LCRA is already deregulated. We're really talking about legislation passing that's going to affect our customers, not so much that it's going to affect us directly. And everything we're doing from gen tax and all of that is to get in shape for competition, which for us is already there.
Water skiers and fishermen love the calm, protected waters of Lake Austin. But every other winter, Lake Austin is lowered about 12 feet at the request of the city of Austin. This provides lakeside residents with an opportunity to repair boat docks and retaining walls. It also helps control this Eurasian water milfoil, commonly known as duckweed. Lake Austin has been drawn down 4 times during the 90s, but this is the first time that the lake lowering has coincided with freezing temperatures since 1991.
Over the last 3 to 4 days, we've probably been sub-freezing about 20 hours. So besides just killing the exposed green vegetation, this drawdown will actually be killing and damaging some of the root systems that are in the mud. And that's the primary purpose for doing the drawdown in winter, hoping to damage the root systems and therefore gain us a little longer control of the duckweed.
The Eurasian water milfoil was introduced to Lake Austin by accident from its native habitat in Southeast Asia. Without any recent control, the duckweed has covered about 40% of the lake's surface with mats of vegetation. The plant can grow to lengths in excess of 15 feet, causing problems for swimmers and boaters.
There's no way we'll ever eradicate all the weeds in Lake Austin, and that's not our intent. We're looking to manage, control, so that the water is usable for all the different water users, the fishermen as well as the skiers, as well as the lakeside property owners.
Of course, the lake lowering always brings out the treasure hunters with their metal detectors.
Bud Light. Treasure, right?
Lake Austin will be refilled beginning February 8th through hydro generation releases from Lake Travis. This process will lower Lake Travis approximately 1 foot.
You know, the LCRA is well known for building great things. We've built dams, power plants, transmission lines, parks, you name it. Well, now you can add log cabins to the list. That's right. Employees from the Business Services Group recently put their construction skills to work for a very good cause. The Business Services Group decided to build an authentic log cabin playhouse for the kids at Austin Children's Shelter. The shelter serves as a temporary home for neglected and abused children who are waiting for a foster home.
This is outstanding. I mean, with 30 kids, you have no idea how we look for ways to keep them busy and ways to bring their creative selves alive. These children are not used to having a lot of material things that we take for granted in our childhood, such as playhouses. Many of them lacked a room of their own in the houses that they came from. 60% of the children that we serve have been admitted due to neglect. So something as luxurious and outstanding as the playhouse that we have here today is really going to send a message to the kids that they mean something and that people in the community care and that they are valuable enough to deserve such a really special treat.
Throughout November and the first part of December, we raised about $1,400, and it was enough to buy all the materials for this shelter. And we had a party on December 17th for all the business services employees, and with that time, they got a chance and opportunity to see what their contributions had made. And we came up to this point now where we've got the cabin here at the Austin Children's Shelter, and we're very pleased for this big accomplishment.
Yeah, it's exciting. Exciting because we've never done anything like this. We had a lot of people volunteer for it, either physically or financially, or we had groups doing benefits, barbecues, cooking sales, bake sales. So we got a good thing out of it. Got us all together as a group, which that means a lot to everybody.
The Austin Children's Shelter recently opened a second location in Austin and can now house up to 30 children.
Well, that's it for this edition of Wavelength. We'll look forward to seeing you again next time.